difficult and strong when he had completed both the Ghost Blade and the Black Cleaver, and the Varus poke was something that they really failed to get around during the stages of play. So moving forward, I think that Huma, they still have a good draft, they just need to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, things are mixing up though here pretty quickly. We've already run through all of the bans. This is an incredibly rapid champ select, so bear with us. Vladimir, Caitlyn, Fizz, Ryze, Aurelia, Swain. So a lot of options taken off the table. The Fizz and the Swain, the new additions to the ban pool. Target focus both onto JWoww and Wicked independently. In the first pick, it's not going to be Braum, not Bard, no priority on the jungler either. That Azir lock-in for Godbro in the mid lane. This is an interesting choice to start off pick ban.
I think it's very surprising personally, because with the nerfs to Azir, I mean, we all thought they were pretty significant. You know, when with the duration on your ultimate being reduced that much, you lose a lot of control in these team fights, and your sieging being hurt pretty significantly too. It's surprising to see such value being put onto Azir right now, but he's still great at poke, he's still great in these mid to late game team fights. You cannot underestimate that sort of damage, and that's exactly what Cadril demonstrated last game. So even after the nerfs, Azir still being a popular pick.
Can't hit towers very hard anymore, but definitely hits the same as always against those champions. And looking at the opposite side though, Huma have made a very strong first rotation. They got the Nidalee picked up in the jungle for Impaler, as well as the Braum going back down into the bot lane in the hands of Wendelboe. And yes, may not be the greatest engaged champion, but Wendelboe consistently getting aggressive and trying to force those fights in the mid game, as well as no fear hiding in the bushes with Impaler. And it feels like Kindred, a little bit slower to kill you, but if there's a Braum and a Nidalee in the bush, you are going down pretty quick.
Yeah, you have a lot of early game damage with the Nidalee. The big change to Nidalee, which is why she's dropped off in terms of popularity, is the changes to her movement speed that she gets now. So when you apply the passive of your Q, you land a spear, you get a little mark above your head.
Or a trap,
and you then get a little bonus movement speed, and then there's a small range indicator that allows you to leap up onto that target. Now the range in which you get that movement speed has been heavily reduced.
So it used to be 6,500, and now it's 1,500?
It used to be 5,500, and now it's been reduced to 1,400.
Oh, jeez.
So if you land like a max range spear, it's actually a lot harder to catch up to that target now. So that's why Nidalee has fallen off in terms of priority, because she doesn't have the same sort of chase potential and catch potential that she used to have. Still though, Impaler doesn't care. He wants the early game damage. He wants to still have that poke.
That's what he's been all about. I mean, very much an early game player, but let's jump back to the opposite side. Trundle picked up, as well as the Ezreal. You talk about champions you need to run down. Ezreal looks like one of them, and Nardi is happy to pick this one up after his time on Lucian.
Trundle as well, great flex pick. Can be put up in both the top lane as well as support. And it was banned against Nerv in game 1. Huma decided to leave it on the table. Still, you're lacking an engage right now for Nerv. You do have the Azir if you want it. You've got a very similar composition to what Huma ran in game 1, where you just keep people at arm's length, you wait for the mid to late game, and those team fights, you're actually really good at poking and just making sure that you have sustained damage from a distance. And with that Trundle, you have at least a beefy front line to hide behind. What Nerv could follow up with is the potential... I mean, if they want it, they can follow it with a potential engage, but really I feel like disengage would actually be much better for their composition right now.
Well, I have to see what they opt, but I want to talk about the other side. Huma, we saw kind of a half poke composition coming in. We were wondering about utility 80 carries. You can see from the massive grin on this man's face that clearly we're seeing those now. Ashe has been locked in, as well as Varus. A lot of engage potential here, and an insane amount of poke now that they've paired it with the Nidalee.
Oh yes, this is a bona fide, genuine poke composition coming out from Huma. You got the Nidalee, you got the Varus. Ashe is surprisingly good at poke as well. She's not like known as a poke champion, but your typical build is Essence Reaver into Rapid Fire Cannon. Sorry, not Rapid Fire Cannon, into the 3-shot one.
Hurricane.
Hurricane.
Yeah, you got it. God. Triple shooty thing.
The thing.
Yes.
Because of that, she builds a lot of cooldown reduction naturally thanks to the Essence Reaver, which means that your W, your volley, is actually up a surprising amount. So you do actually sustain a lot of mana, you can get a lot of poke down, and with the arrow you can use it to start fights or disengage, and when you pair that up with the Braum, you actually have just a really great siege poke composition coming out from Huma.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the pick and ban phase has now finished up. The final pick in for Huma, the Gnar, seeming like a great option for their comp, but I want to focus back on the side of Nerv. We haven't touched on this as much. Final pick is going to be that Rek'Sai for Memento once again, as well as that Bard that we saw banned out in Game 1 for We Will Fail It.
The great thing about Bard and why he's been so contested all over the world is because of how versatile he is. He has Engage with his ultimate. He has Disengage with his ultimate. He has the Magical Journey to set up really quick rotations. You can make all kinds of plays around the map. The Cosmic Binding is surprisingly effective in how much utility it provides, and it gives you a bit of sustain to help you through the laning phase. And not only that, he's very oppressive during a lane, which can help a lot of weak AD carries out. So Bard, very well-rounded support that actually makes up for a lot of what Nerv were missing in Game 1.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a much better engage option overall. Can't wait for that Ezreal and Azir to really get going in the late game, but definitely the tools to engage as well. However, on the opposite side, you want a go button, you've got Ashe. I mean, that's a very clear-cut, let's start a team fight kind of option for this team.
I'm so excited as well because we saw it over in LCK, we saw it over in LPL, and we were all just really excited to see it moving now over here in Europe. And in the LCS, no one was picking it up, no one was putting any value on it because everyone was so afraid of the Lucian. But now that Lucian has been taken down a peg, we're actually starting to see some more interesting AD carries. And Ashe, in my opinion, is one of the most interesting AD carries that we've got.
Interesting. Okay, so I really love Ashe, obviously, in the sense of having a great engage tool. But I wouldn't.
Think of it, right?
For an AD, I don't play a lot of AD carry, but like she's not
so interesting
very
because she's got that slow on her basic attack. She doesn't crits don't work in the same way as other AD carries do, but also the way in which her Q works, where oh no, I'm a helpless Ashe, doesn't do any damage. Then all of a sudden you got 4 stacks of focus and you hit like a truck. Then you've got volley to constantly kite back. She can be quite an independent AD carry if she needs to be, but she's also got that great engage tool. You can set up beautiful vision with the E as well. She's got so many interesting tools in her kit that for me, she's a really exciting AD carry to watch.
Of course, yeah, and we're just waiting on a few player issues with Ping before we get into our next game. Ping. Wicked, wants to be able to play the game comfortably.
Would be nice.
Wait to get those computers sorted out. But in the meantime, Ashe coming in as his primary option for
Do you want to keep talking about Ashe?
Well, not a whole ton, but I want to know what are the disengage options? How do you play around this on the opposite side for Nerv?
So if you're Nerv, the thing that you have to be very mindful of is the poke. Obviously, the whole composition is built around poke. They want to group up around an objective, like a tower or a dragon, and they want to basically just throw all their abilities out, and they want to hit you as often as they can. And this time, Huma have the Braum. So whereas in Game 1, Huma had the Braum against the poke, they now have the Braum with the poke. So he's going to act as a front line that Nerv have to get through to actually force this fight. What Nerv can do is use this Bard to land onto the low mobility champions that are Ashe and the Varus. They are not going to be able to escape from this Tempered Fate that's going to be flying towards them. So it sets you up nicely to make these plays with the Azir, with the Rek'Sai, that if Huma aren't aware of, can easily result in Nerv getting a teamfight win.
Absolutely, and snowballing can be really important for both of these teams. We saw a very patient early to mid game coming out from both sides, and really until the Baron became a contestable objective, we didn't really see a whole ton of aggression from either side. But we have to imagine this time with so many excellent engage options between the Bard, Temper Fate, and the Ashe Arrow on the opposite end, you have to wonder how much more aggressive these teams are going to be. And really, looking towards the top lane, I'm just wondering how Wicked is going to stack up against this Gnar, and if we're going to see more priority on the Rift Herald, because we've seen how devastating Gnar can be in those solo lanes when he does have that amazing glimpse of the Void buff.
It's quite interesting that you mentioned the Rift Herald, actually, because throughout the Challenger Series qualifiers, we saw a lot of priority on it. But then since the Challenger Series qualifiers, very few teams have actually considered it to be top priority in the LCS.
And it's so difficult to take. I feel like you just have to commit so many resources there. And honestly, it's a pretty big risk.
It certainly is, when it only really gives you a small damage buff, and 5% damage reduction, yeah, can be quite valuable. But you can also just avoid the lane that he's in and then wait till the minion wave gets near your tower, wave clear, and then you can just rinse and repeat. You don't actually ever have to fight that the target with the Glimpse of the Void buff. So the amount of resources invested into trying to get it will often not give you much benefit overall. So it can be quite a risk to take, as you were just mentioning. So in terms of the Gnar versus Trundle matchup, though, if the Gnar gets it, that can be horrible for the Trundle. You have the range difference, which...
You've already got Hyper, you've already got Boomerang, like extra little static shift proc and damage reduction just makes that
good. So we could very well see another lane swap come out from Huma. because when you have Ashe, not great during the laning phase, she relies very heavily on her basic attacks. You can quite easily avoid the volley if you just hide behind minions, and to focus stacks you can very easily play around because you can see them. So as long as you just are mindful of when she's at a point at which she can do damage, you can just bully her. And when you're with Bard, who is one of the strongest laning supports in the game, you kind of want to go, yeah, no, I'm going to avoid that lane, thanks.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I mean, Bard level 1, the Meep Slap, the Cosmic Binding, just so oppressive to play against. You see so many.
Just had this hilarious thought of a tiny Meep just slamming you in the face, and Ashe being like, "You're gonna ruin my hair," but this Meep is just committed. He's committed to doing the damage, just flying straight into your face.
Look, man. I mean, can we really blame the Meeps? They are just being thrown by a trumpet playing
If anything, it's quite rude by Bard to just be like,
completely rude.
"Let's go on an adventure," and all the Meeps are like, "Yeah, let's go on an adventure, fun time, woo!" And then they just walk into lane, and he's just like, "Now you're gonna go on an adventure over there," and he's just like, "Hey, wait, no!" And then you just get thrown, and you have to do damage, and he's just like, "Thanks, man." Bard is a rude guy. That's why he doesn't speak to anyone, because in reality, if he did, he'd be very offensive.
That's why he's changed all of his audio to horn sounds. He's actually just a horribly offensive character.
He sounds like he sounds lovely, like the hoo, and you're just like, oh, that guy sounds lovely. But in reality, he's saying, I hate you all, and I'm gonna deal as much damage as I possibly can. The truth behind Bard. You have to know, I'm sorry to disappoint all you Bard lovers, but he's a horrible person.
I'm a Bard lover. You're a horrible person. Stop ruining things for our audience. How dare you go so deep into this rabbit hole? It's not Vedius in Wonderland. This is Challenger Broadcast. Let's calm down just a little bit.
So just to update everyone, the reason we're talking about Bard is because, as you mentioned, there were a couple of delays.
Some game issues.
Yeah, but we should be getting into game.
We have the comps. There is a Bard. This isn't just some random tangent.
There is a Bard, and people can vote for which team they believe they win. I do believe Sifa.
Yes, of course. Hashtag NRV win. Hashtag HMA win. If you want Huma or Nerv to win to come out on top. And it's going to be interesting to see who does. Use Twitter. Let us know. We had some pretty balanced vote last time around, and I'm wondering if the opinions have remained the same, because that was still a pretty close game overall. And I really feel like it could go either way this time around, but I still think if Huma can continue to execute, their comp is crazy strong. But at the same time, Poke, limited time period in which it's incredibly strong, right? Those picks do start to fall off a little bit.
Let's just think about this, because Ashe late game has always been known as one of the strongest late game AD carries in the game. She's very similar to Caitlyn, and any AD carry that builds crit and relies on their basic attacks and has their own inbuilt utility is actually very devastating come the late game. Nidalee will definitely fall off, but depending on how Impaler decides to build, he could just go for a full poke build. So he's not really going for the old
great because you label it full poke, but what you really mean is all AP all the time.
Yeah.
And we've both watched enough Impaler to know no matter what happens, that's the build he's going.
Yeah, like Deathcap, Void Staff, going full wizard into that poke comp, and then you have the Varus, who's just going to build very normal with the Ghost Blade into. He might go for Black Cleaver, but it's more likely that he'll go for like Mortal Reminder as well as the Manamune. So late game, I still think that poke is actually devastating. It can be pretty good at shredding through any sort of front line. And Trundle doesn't build. I mean, he does build tanky. He is very tanky, but he's not as much of a front line that you have to be aware of, especially when you have a Braum and a Gnar that can just plonk themselves in front of your backline and be like, "Yeah, no, you're not getting on top of them." So
yeah, very interesting. We'll have to see as well exactly how that's going to work out if they can play around that Mega Gnar. But moving forward, as we load into our second game of the series, keep your eye open for some game-defining moments and tweet them out with the hashtag #CSBigPlays. You're already on Twitter, tweeting out who you think is going to win. Might as well take some big plays as well. Maybe from last game, maybe from this game this time around, and overall, keep your eye out.
And if you're on Twitter, what I really want to know is whether or not you think Bard is a jerk or not. For throwing these poor little meeps around in battle.
You can't just use your platform to pander to people, okay? This is blatant disrespect. You are a caster. You have to respect. We can't just. You can't just do this.
People need to know that Bard is a jerk. It's a horrible truth that we all have to accept.
We will fail, of course.
Is in
disconnect,
the game.
Immediate reconnect.
He is in the game, yes.
We're good. We got that sorted, I swear. No more pauses.
So, right now, both teams just setting up. We could potentially see the lane swap. We already discussed it during Champion Select. The 2v2 for Huma could be a bit difficult when you're going up against a Bard Ezreal when Ashe doesn't have the strongest laning phase. But JWoww very likely wants the 1 versus 1 Gnar into Trundle. Is a great matchup for the Gnar. You have the range advantage. As you were talking about earlier, the Hyper, the Boomerang is very difficult with the kite power that this Gnar does have for the Trundle to ever really get on top of you, and he pretty much just sits there and takes poke all day. So Huma looks like that they are trying to go for non-standard lanes, but NRV reading it fairly well.
Yeah, and this is really just the blind lane swap. Neither team wanting to invade the opposite side's jungle. So just taking some risks here. It looked like it will be the 2v2 on the top side. Of course, Ashe, Braum, reasonably powerful overall, but we talked about how oppressive Bard can be at that level 1 point. The Meep Slap, regardless of how you feel about it morally, obviously a very strong potential source of damage.
Yes.
Cosmic Binding as well. They're going to pick up this Gromp and try to grab the EXP advantage, but it's mirrored on the opposite side. Krislin and Wendelbo happy to grab that one. So we will have the 1v1 on the bottom side. Maybe not ideal for Wicked, and we're going to have to see how comfortably he can farm up here.
Yeah, I'd really like our observers to keep an eye on this matchup because I feel like a lot of viewers want to keep our eye on Ashe. New AD carry that has been popularized over in LPL and LCK. Someone that you can play at home, and just having a bit of footage, being able to play it. What you want to try and do is the volley is very good at clearing out those minion waves at the front that it's going to be taking a lot of damage. What you have to be very mindful of is going for trades. At level 1, it's very difficult for you to actually trade back and forth because you only have your basic attacks, whereas Ezreal does have his abilities that will help. So notice that Krislin, he's just sitting at the back. He's sitting behind Wendelbo because he's very wary. He doesn't want to try and force any plays because against a Bard, it can be quite difficult. So if you're going to try and force an engagement, you need Wendelbo to land that Q. Get those concussive blow stacks already applied, and then use that focus to then start doing a lot of damage. So the 2v2, definitely in favor of the Ezreal Bard, but there are ways in which you can play around it.
Yep, definitely looking for those outplays here in the laning phase. Right now, though, things are relatively even on both sides. Kadril, though, really struggling in this matchup. Godbro, he's played both halves of this a lot over the course of his career, and now pretty comfortable on both halves in this series. You know, not normally known to go in the favor of Azir, but right now at this point, Godbro just consistently harassing and pressuring out here in the mid lane.
Just have a look at the mana that Godbro is burning through to get this harass down. It's definitely resulting in him investing a lot of resources, and Kadril is just as equally able to get the return poke down, and with the corrupting potion that he has, he's keeping fairly sustained. But
Flash and Ghost burned. Same summoners on the opposite side as well. Really wants that extra mobility, but not at all where he needed to be. Godbro, of course, opting for the cleanse this time as well, so not going to find as much purchase with that ultimate from Varus.
It really makes a lot of sense against Ashe, Varus as well, who
yeah, definitely.
You can stack those ultimates up. Yeah,
Braum,
so,
a lot of CC here.
Yeah, there's a lot of CC. Wouldn't be surprised to see a QSS come out from Nardius as well, just to avoid some of that heavy single-target crowd control that is coming out from Huma. The pick potential from Huma is actually unbelievable as well, because while, yes, Huma do have a lot of poke, the single-target CC is actually unbelievably strong.
Yep. Halo, though, continuing to get aggressive here as he pushes into the jungle.
Cat's so slow now after landing that spear.
Well, it's only if you're running towards them, right?
Yeah, that is true.
So never would it have given you an absurd amount of movement speed, at least in that circumstance. But JWoww continuing to push in aggressively here. Wicked doing his best to farm back up, and of course the Mega Gnar not nearly as much of a threat at this stage of the game as the Mini Gnar, so Wicked feeling pretty comfortable. Everything pretty passive so far. What do you think is the first break point in this game? What do we need to keep our eyes on?
Well, both teams are geared more towards the mid and late game. If we're going to see any early aggression, it'll be from Impaler on this Nidalee, because or the Rek'Sai, both pretty solid early game junglers that could look to try and make plays during the first 5 to 15 minutes of the game, but the laners themselves all want their big first items before they look for anything. JWoww wants that Black Cleaver done. Kadril, he wants his Mana Mune done so that he can start stacking up the tier and start building towards his Muramana. Krislin definitely wants the Hurricane plus Essence Reaver combo done before he really looks for a fight. Ezreal on the other side, the Tier plus the Iceborne Gauntlet. Azir wants the Nash's Tooth plus either Rylai's or Abyssal. more likely to be the Rylai's to just keep people at arm's length. And yeah, basically both teams want items before they look to try and force anything. So not really that much of a surprise that we're seeing such a slow-paced early game.
I like how you list everything and then your ending is, people need items. Like, okay.
They do.
That is an apt synopsis of your entire breakdown.
Just wanted
to
make people aware of the sort of items that they want to be going for, you know?
Yeah,
important.
You never know. Archangel staff. No, not standard on the Ezreal or the Varus, so we're staying away from that.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank God you updated me.
That's what I'm here for, Sifa. That's what I'm here for.
Of course, trading. Krillin looking a little bit more comfortable now that he has a few levels under his belt, as we talked about earlier in Memento. Maybe looking to get aggressive in the mid lane. There's no summoner spells for Cage Roll. Early gank paying off dividends as they move in, and Nerv grabbing that first blood.
Easy kill for Godbro. Just slides on in, sets up for the ultimate, knowing that Cage Roll had no flash available. And just quick and easy first blood for Nerv. Sorry, yeah, for Nerv. So nice response compared to game 1, where they weren't really able to set up many successful plays. But Memento following up on the early aggression that he'd set up early on in the game.
Yeah, you know, goes in, gets the flash, gets the ghost, comes back, knows that they have the setup to really punish that. And really good use of the level 6 there overall. Godbro still with both of his summoners available, and Cadril still no flash up, so potentially an awkward point of contention here, although Godbro hungry for a little bit of extra CS. Wants to try to take it from Impaler, and we'll take a look at that play one more time.
So this is just clean execution. The Shurima shuffle comes in from Godbro. Kadra uses his ultimate to try and buy himself some time. He could have potentially used the ghost and run towards the tower, but decided that it wasn't worth it. His life was already gone, so just gave away the kill, and we'll just have to come back and be a little bit safer. I feel like he could turn to Impaler and say, yo, I don't have any summoner spells. Could you perhaps put a couple wards around for me, help try and keep me alive? Because if they're going to gank, it's definitely going to be me.
Yep.
But Impaler deciding, no, I don't want to help you out.
No.
Obviously, that's a little bit unfair,
yeah.
but you know.
I like how you just made up the dialogue
Yeah.
and just made that assumption on your own. That's solid. Of course, Impaler not opting to spend too much time in the mid lane, although will make an appearance there now. However, relatively low health.
And one elbow.
They're at the blue buff. Godbro gets bullied down to the bottom side. That could be devastating, but Impaler's already left. Now looking to take the red buff from the opposition, but Memento already one step ahead. Tunnels lining the enemy jungle at this stage, and Godbro is unrelenting. The man never wants to stop auto-attacking his enemies, and just throwing some poke down onto the jungler there.
This is actually a big issue for Kristen right now, is Wicked.
Oh, yeah, you're in Italy's kingdom now, buddy. That might not be what you want. Wendelbu potentially in trouble. Impaler going to back off his chase there overall. Doesn't find the spear, is not able to follow up. Will, in the end, get the flash coming out from Wicked, however. So a good trade overall, matching a decent amount of pressure, but not finding a kill quite yet.
No, the big problem here for Huma is the fact that Kristen was left alone. Huma tried to set up a gank onto Godbro by using a 3-man collapse with Impaler and Wendelbo, but that left this Ashe all alone up in the top lane, and because Memento knew that Wendelbo was nowhere near, he felt like that the strong side of the map for them was now the top half, because there was both the Bard, there was the Ezreal, and the Rek'Sai all in the top half. Godbro could also collapse if he was needed, so he felt, okay, I'm safe to just go and take this red buff completely for free, get all this deep vision down in the top half of Huma's jungle, and they forced Krisland away from the turret. He is now at a pretty significant CS deficit, all because Wendelbo tried to help out his mid laner, and this is not what an Ashe wants. You want to get as much farm as possible during the early game. You want to complete those major items as quickly as you can, because you really can't have an impact without that core of Essence Reaver plus Hurricane.
Yeah, and you can definitely see not going to be there anytime soon. Does have to back and finish up the BF sword. Not enough money for that Caulfields. Meanwhile, though, Ashe is suffering, as is the Trundle, however, on the opposite side. So the gold remains almost exactly even. Farm differentials on pretty much every role, but balanced out on the opposite side. Of course, 74 to 95 in that top lane matchup. Impaler putting a lot of attention there now, and Gnar looking incredibly comfortable, just bullying Wicked off in these exchanges. Every time he gets that Mega Gnar, though, he does have to back off because he no longer has the safe harass options.
But have a look at this from We Will Failure as well. Moving in with Memento to help him out with that vision. Wants to make sure that Memento is safe with stealing away these camps. Impaler realizes that he no longer controls the top half of the map, so he is responding by taking the bottom half of the enemy jungle. Now, this is quite risky because you only have JWoww for support. But if Godbro decides to collapse and then Memento just wanders into the jungle, Impaler could be left in some serious danger. So he's going to recognize this, back away, and then we're just going to return to a bit of normality. But just have a look at the vision coming out from NRV right now.
Yeah, I mean, really proactive in what they're laying down. They want to keep some of these lanes safe and really just limiting a lot of Impaler's options. Wick can be pretty damn sure that Impaler is always bot lane if he can't see him on the map, because there's vision just about everywhere else. And Wicked going to struggle to defend this tower. They may look for the dive. JWoww going in, has the Mega Gnar, smacks Wicked into the wall. Subjugate goes down, and Impaler does a lot of damage. Leaf not quite enough. Oh wow. My god, Wicked! I mean, that was the easiest outplay of his life. JWoww and Impaler, a moment of miscoordination cost them everything.
Wicked literally stood there. He had his subjugate. Yeah, he had his subjugate on to get some health back as well as some defensive stats. JWoww did not respect the turret damage. Something that you have to bear in mind is that on patch 6.9, the actual damage that turrets do is increased as Kadril forced to use the ghost, but he is going to be able to get away, or is he?
Oh, great movement over there, trying to get the re-engage. Godbro flashing out the trade of summoners back and forth. But aggressive moves across the map. The tower on the bottom side will, however, drop to the Nidalee. So a decent gold advantage over to Huma. Still only 500 because Nerv's kills have balanced this out.
So, action happening all over the map. Huma failing the dive down in the bottom lane. But then, Nerv not quite able to set up the gank in the middle. Forces both summoners out from Kadril, but he's able to get away as Impaler's found Memento.
Oh, maybe looking to start the fight here. Is a lot of damage coming in from Impaler, but just to land a few more spears if he wants to keep this one going. Trundle potentially on the way up as Kadril and Wendelboe push in the mid lane. We Will Failure here as well. Bard very vulnerable. They can get that dive off, but have to respect the Tempered Fate and will do so in the end. I feel like we have two very intense farm lanes between the Ashe Ezreal and kind of the Gnar Trundle outside of that dive, and the mid lane is just the point of action. Tempered Fate drops. They know he doesn't have flash, but can they get the follow-up? Godbro looking to make the plays. Kadril slowly burning the flash in. They're going to get it. Ezreal on the back half. Happy to get the assist. Beautiful binding. Wendelboe looking for the disengage. Too little, too late. Or is it? Huma not going to find the re-engage. A great exhaust from We Will Failure. Ashe flash over the wall. Krislin once again with the aggressive plays. He's looking to make it a double. Moves it. Beautiful heal. Godbro will go down in the end, but JWoww's here as well. A bloodbath in the mid lane. Double kill comes in. JWoww potentially next. Smacks him into the wall. Looks for the disengage. The flash from Wicked. Everyone goes down.
For the dive.
An explosive game for sure. JWoww trying to make this happen. Memento, he doesn't know what he wants. He hesitates. He backs off, but what a bloodbath. Instantly from 2-0 to 6-3 in the kill score.
Wow. Really high intense action already coming out, all off of one gank in the middle lane. This is something that we were discussing from the Bard. He has that engage potential, and his ability to pick off these low mobility champions in the form of Varus and Ashe is a great way to start these team fights. Kadril is known to not have no flash. They go for the engagement. A little bit of miscommunication means that Memento is forced to use his flash, but they get themselves the kill. Great double binding, but the shield from Wendelboe actually buys enough time for the arrow to come in. Then another clutch exhaust. Just so many small plays. Now, Krislin joins the fight, forced to use his flash. Again, low mobility AD carry, who's now sitting on the front line. Thinks he's fine, but then the great heal from Nadia's, again, buys more time for the rest of Nerv to come in. And with Wicked now joining the fight, Nerv are quickly able to claim themselves the advantage. They look to go for the dive, but again, some slight form of miscommunication as to whether or not they want to commit on that. So overall, very tense fight that is very back and forth, but Nerv are able to come out ahead.
Kind of. The goal is dead even.
In kills. They're able to come out ahead in kills.
I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right, but the goal just stunningly even, and of course ending the Ezreal spree. Gonna offer them a little bit back. We'll balance that out overall. We Will Failure potentially in trouble though. just going to take a journey right on out of there. And, you know, the relative bloodbath of this game from that instant, we can see how different these teams play when they do have those engage options.
This is the difference. This is why we were discussing, are we seeing the full potential of these teams just yet? Because in game one, neither team really had the option to engage. They were just waiting for the other team to make a mistake. It was Nerv that ended up making that mistake in game one, which was Nadia's flashing over the wall into multiple members. But this time, both teams have options. They have ways to force fights, and now it's simply a matter of execution. So far, Nerv have been the ones to come out slightly ahead in terms of execution, capitalizing on the poor mobility of both Ashe and Varus, who now neither of them have flash. So if Nerv want to continue this early game tempo, they need to continue on with the pressure onto this Ashe, onto this Varus, putting them behind and preventing them from getting these item spikes that they really rely on.
Yeah, and really interesting as well how confident We Will Failure has been in this Bard. Of course, does get picked off in that last fight, but a great engage with the Tempered Fate, and I think this might be why we saw the Bard taken off the table. This man looks incredibly comfortable. Here comes the engage, though. Nardius, no hesitation there, uses the E to make it out to safety, and they're actually going to have to back off this tower for at least a second here.
There's no dive coming in. Tempered Fate.
Looking for the re-engage. No Ashe arrow available. Great timing! It's like they've rehearsed this one. Chrisland is going to get picked up. That actually was really surprising to me, but the Ezreal, perfect timing on the ultimate.
Low mobility mage going up against the... no, mage, sorry. Low mobility AD carry going up against the Bards means that you're just setting yourself up for failure, especially when you're going to play that overextended. Wendelbo, he tries to get the execute, but the cheeky snipe coming out from Memento is going to return that kill. So 8 kills on the board already. Godbro, he wants to change that.
Oh, maybe looking to force the fight. They get pushed back. Both sides do. Huma now looking to run away from that one. Gnar used out there as well as the Emperor's Divide. But Bard now potentially on the hunt as they start to move in. Memento, they're looking to knock him up right as he turns mini Gnar, but he's going to hop, skip, and jump his way out to safety. Little Goomba stomp there to make it away, and Huma walk away with their lives there, but man, so much action on every corner of the map.
Yep, there certainly is. So have a look at this play from Huma. They try to land the arrow on Donadius. Not entirely sure what they were trying to set up right there. They wouldn't have had the damage to get the kill, especially with Bard there. And all you're actually doing is overextending in the lane to allow Huma to get the easy collapse down onto you. Wicked teleports in, a little bit unnecessary, but he gets himself an assist, something that he's always going to be happy with. And if anything, it just denied any potential escape coming out from Chrisland. So something you have to be very mindful of when playing Ashe and Varus is that if you don't have your flash, you are a very vulnerable target.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. No defensive options available. Does have the heal this time around. Will have flash shortly. But may also have learned from that last play. You can see, though, after game one, votes a little bit more in the Huma favor. 65% to 35%. Doesn't surprise me. And the way these plays are going, though, I think Nerv very much have a shot to tie this one up. And with the gold lead backing them up as well, things look pretty good. Interestingly enough, no priority on the Dragon whatsoever. We talk about Cloud not being high value. But this time around, neither team giving it any attention.
Clearly, both these teams undervalue the impact that 0.5 seconds of getting to lane sooner has.
No, 1 second. 1 second to get to lane.
Of getting to lane.
Half a second to get from bot to mid. According to our very rudimentary testing, admittedly.
No. What are you talking about? It was extremely scientific, and we spent a good hour investigating
but we didn't use math. It was literally a stopwatch and a Lee Sin with Cloud Drake versus a Lee Sin without Cloud Drake. It's not like we were incredibly precise about this.
Don't hurt the credibility of that experiment. It was very well thought out.
We'll get the math. We'll get the 100%
We'll get the math. But in any case,
regardless
Cloud
of it,
Drake is not being the priority right now.
Yes, absolutely.
But Chrisland's still playing very aggressively up in this top lane, and as you can see, they're not actually getting very much of this aggression. They're just trying to shove the wave in. They feel fairly confident. It was Kadril and Godbro.
Yeah, dude, both summoners burnt out. I just said dude on a broadcast. Whoops. All right, Flash and Clan's going to be used.
Crazy play in the mid lane, bro. Kadril forcing to get both the summoners out from Godbro.
I'll stay away from British accents. Just please never do that ever again.
Kadril, even though 0-2, still able to put the pressure down onto Godbro, who going for a very early Zhonya's because he's realizing that the power that Kadril has on this Varus can be quite difficult to match up against his Memento. You're going to notice that there is a ward in that bush, so not quite able to set up any sort of cheeky flank up in the top lane.
Yeah, may look to ultimate here, though. Bard, of course, with the Tempered Fate available. Memento continuing to clear out these pink wards. Italy ready to respond, though. Impaler ahead in the farm game as expected. Has opted to go for the Rod of Ages here instead of the Rylai's. So a little bit more scaling. A game of tunnels here for Memento.
A game of tunnels?
Yep.
Oh, fair enough.
Some people have thrones, some people have tunnels. Oh, moving in. Kadril potentially in trouble. He does have both his summoners, though. And just the casual walk away. Look at the confidence there coming in from that Varus.
So the thing about Kadril is it's now all coming back to me when he used to play for Giants under Doges. He actually was well known for his Varus. He was very good at it, and he'd always bring it out in clutch situations. The funny thing about it is when I was casting him back then, he always went 0-2 in lane. Almost always. Yet he found a way back into the game.
Does he miss his ult a lot, too?
Well, probably. He always fell behind during the laning phase.
This guy is great at Varus. Instant ult miss on
during,
it's like the caster
during the
curse.
laning phase, he falls behind, but he always finds a way back into the game, especially once he completes these two items. So keep your eye on Kadril. Want to see if he still has the Kadril magic, which is that come the mid game, he somehow finds a way back in.
Yeah, that was the story of his Lissandra too. So, you know, a little falling behind early, but always makes those big team plays that count. One thing I want to focus in on is the bottom side of the map. We're seeing these trades really start to go in the favor of Wicked now that he has that Ravenous Hydra. His sustain is just so great. It doesn't feel like JWoww really can trade out too comfortably.
Yeah, if the advantage that you have as Wicked is that he's now level 13. So he will have maxed his W second, so he has that extra bit of speed boost as well as the attack speed, which does make it a little bit easier to get on top of JWoww. And then when you start applying all the attack damage reduction from the Chomp, as well as the Ravenous Hydra damage, it does start to make the trades a little bit easier. So unfortunately for JWoww, he hasn't been able to accrue a big enough lead that he's actually now just confidently going to be able to push Wicked back.
All right, two big things I want to touch on here. Focusing back on itemization. I know it seems like I'm on a one track, but this is important because that's a Trinity Force for the Ezreal, and that is definitely a Titanic Hydra coming in for the Rek'Sai.
Okay, right. Okay, well, hang on a second because Impaler's been caught.
Oh, flash out. Not sure if they want to make this one. Godbro, ooh, good Zhonya's, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Great re-engage there. Godbro tries to push people out to safety, but suddenly it's Wicked against 4 members on the team of Huma. The coordination comes in clutch there. Arnis doing what he can to push the top lane, but JWoww's here, getting aggressive, trying to get something out. Meganar comes in, Womp, gonna grab that one. Easy pickup for JWoww, waiting in that brush, and meanwhile the rest of Huma are now pushing in this middle lane.
So Huma are finding ways back into this game. We talked about the impressive pick potential that Huma does have with this massive single target damage ultimates. And they're quickly able to catch Godbra. He's forced to use his Zhonya's, and now the mid is completely exposed.
That's not what you want. Coming in for more damage, Impaler hunting for kills here. Isn't going to get it quite yet, but Memento does a decent amount with that TM at his disposal. Wants the 80 carry kill. Is going to get stunned up in the end, however. Moving forward, Spear. Not going to be enough. Huma backing off, but man, not a whole lot of opportunities for openings on the side of Nerv. Gnar pushing in on the top side as well, and everything going in Huma's favor.
The fact that Huma were able to not only get the pick in the mid, but as well get themselves the pick onto Nardius was absolutely massive for them because they knew they had the numbers advantage. With their great double AD carry composition, they were quickly able to take down that tier 1 turret in the mid lane. And now they've gained a little bit more control over the map after Nerv had a very strong early game, finding kills and picks all over the map. Huma are starting to say a little bit more about how they feel with regards to this game. Definitely showing that we're not going to be pushed around anymore. We've been caught out one too many times, and now we've started to complete our second major item.
We're not getting pushed around. We've got 2... Ooh. He's just going to sidestep that arrow pretty casually. Krislin, no hesitation to throw that out. Cooldown not very long, especially with that cooldown itemization.
Exactly. She's completed the Essence Reaver along with the Hurricane. She's sitting on about 20% CDR now. When you combine that with Runes and Masteries, she's going to have that ultimate available pretty regularly.
Of course, a little bit more now that they've buffed the Rune's crit component. So going to be that 30% coming out in the end.
Right, yeah.
Very happy to have that.
Circus Greaves as well, also buffed on patch 6.11 to get a little bit more attack speed out of it.
Yeah, little changements, quick adjustments to those patches coming out. Memento, though, not adjusting to this one. Gnar ult comes in, and that's the potential we talked about. But Memento's not dead yet. Godbro maybe looking for the setup here. He could be in trouble, though. Cleanse gets burned out. Wendelbo trying to make it to safety. Wicked pushing in on the top side, and it's just a bloodbath in the jungle as Huma find yet another kill.
Wicked's going to continue this split push. He may very well be able to get this turret because JO's not going to be able to get back in time, but Wicked, he wants to disengage because Huma, again, trying to find picks in the middle lane, going to continue on with this siege. But that was just a great pick coming out from Huma. They were setting up to take this Cloud Drake. For some reason, Memento was just sitting there without any support from his team. And then with the vast amount of single target CC that Huma have, they're able to catch Memento out of position, get themselves a kill as well as an objective.
Yeah, but the second tower of the game does fall for Nerv in the top lane. It's going to be 2 towers taken on the top side. They haven't been able to grab anything else, but Wicked is applying a ton of pressure up there. Now they're setting up around this Baron. Vision has been laid down. Huma continue to set up shop here in the mid lane, throwing out all that poke.
So, both teams, again, grouping up in the middle lane, having their top laner split push off on the side lane. Very similar to what we saw in game 1. The big difference is now both teams actually have a go button, a way in which they can start off these fights. The question is who will actually be the team to do it, because Huma sitting in a ever so slight gold advantage, and I mean ever so slight.
And I feel like Huma are going to be the ones to keep forcing these fights because every time that arrow is off cooldown, which it is now, Crystalline just seems ready and eager to fire it off.
However, you have to be very mindful of the Bard's disengage. If you invest all your resources onto a single target, you're then going to group yourself up, which could set up for a very easy multi-man Tempered Fate, which with those low mobility AD carry and mid laner, you're just asking Godbro to get that multi-man ultimate off onto you. You're allowing Wicked to reposition himself in a way that he can sit on top of Crystalline and just beat him down with his bat. So while Huma want to try and get as much poke down as possible, they need to be careful about what fights they actually choose to commit to.
Yep, right now Huma committing to the tower, however. Some good little coordination between the bot and the support. You can see Ashe throwing out the Hawk shot, Braum following up with the Vision, but continually split pushing out here. Godbro now on the bottom side. Yeah, he may be a little bit weaker this patch at taking tower. Still has the attack speed, still has the AP to burn through this. Tower trade coming through though because there are 3 members of Huma on the top. A lot of aggression. Impaler taking a lot of poke. Really odd adjustment here, but both teams going to come out of it evenly as 2 towers are traded back and forth. We go from 2 to 4 on both sides. Ooh, Ashe arrow.
Surprised Godbro got away with that, but he made it work. Kadril, I have no idea what you were trying to do there.
Comedy of errors from the single target engage options.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was literally just like, guys, it's off cooldown, fire it. He's just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna fire it. Yeah, no, I have no idea, but no harm, no foul, I suppose. They're going to get away with it. But now with those big cooldowns off, Nerv feel confident to go for this Baron.
Yeah, moving in here, incredibly aggressive. Wonder if they're going to commit to this because members of Huma are already moving in. We will Failer on the apps outside, maybe looking for this JWoww with no TP. Wendelbo looking for the stun. Impaler is going to come over the wall. Can he get it?
Oh!
He is! Huma managed to take the Baron away. Nardius is going to go over the wall, but Huma are going to be able to walk away unscathed. 1 kill, the consolation prize for a massive mistake. Huma, they're hungry for blood. They want these towers and they're pushing down the mid lane.
And their ultimates are going to be up relatively soon. Godbro needs to be very wary. He does have his cleanse, but all it takes is 1 CC to hit, and Godbro could be in a very compromising position.
JWoww maybe looking for the flank over the wall. 2 We Will Failer so low. Looking for the engages here. He's starting it off right, but Kadril flashes to safety. Wendelbo on the front line. Memento moving in. So many threats. JWoww, here comes Meganar. Memento, great knockup to stop that. With the flash in to keep the fight going. Varus running for his life, but they need the poke. 1 more arrow over the wall. It's gonna do it. Wicked locked down, knocked out. Maybe they're gonna get the kill, but here comes Mininar. Can he dish out enough damage to chase this one down? Wendelbo moving forward. Flash looking to block this out. The ace comes through for Huma. What a bloodbath.
So all of this started because Nerv decided to go for the Baron play. Very risky because of the potential smite steal for Impaler. And yes, Nidalee receives some nerfs this patch, but her damage definitely did not. You have to respect the execute smite combo that Nidalee does have. Impaler goes to the flash, gets himself the steal, and that's all Huma needs to start pushing down the mid lane. So have a look at this great steal from Impaler. Exactly what Huma needed. They immediately go for the disengage. They have the composition to do it, using their poke to just keep NRV at arm's length, and then they go for the push down the middle lane. All of their cooldowns are coming back up. They still have their flash. Godbro realizes that he needs to try and force a play here, and things could be great, but because of the ultimate from Kadril that actually locks up Wicked and denies the execute down onto Kadril, then with JWoww just sitting on the front line and the poke coming out from Kadril in the back line, Huma can look to clean up this fight. Nice credit here. Oh, I want to give some credit to Wendelbo here, because when Wicked tries to escape, Wendelbo goes to the flash slow, which then enables JWoww to get that last proc off and get themselves the kill.
Such a close team fight. You saw Memento denying the double hop, coming in from JWoww, the bounce off by unburrowing, but JWoww, of course, still has the flash, is able to get in there and force that ultimate, and so close as these team fights come out here. At the end of the day, though, the execution just barely in favor of Huma, as Kadril being alive seems to be what decided the fight there. And a perfect mini-Gnar timing. Oh, continues Godbro. No. You can run away from the mini-Gnar. It's very hard. It's going to take the shifting sands, the conquering sands, and a lot of mobility to make it to safety. But now Huma ready to go. Memento. Not the time you want to be going into the jungle blind. Paler spotted out. They see the footprints of their enemies moving in. Looking to take another tower here. Could have another fight on her hands. Crystalline has the ultimate available. Is going to get locked up. Memento will be able to get the double knockup in response as they push forward. TP comes in. JWoww, Mega-Gnar just going to smack Wicked into the wall. Memento so low. The Varus and Ashe poke damage coming in huge. Nidalee looking to pick off the weaker targets on the backside, but Huma aggressive moves. They force the health bar low, and the tower is going to drop instead.
Wendelbo executed that to perfection. He got caught in the Tempered Fade as well. The moment that stasis came out, he just put his shield up straight away, denied any kind of follow-up from NRV, but not from Godbro.
Moving forward, Kadril locked down, knocked out JWoww and mini-Gnar. Not enough tanky stats to survive this, or will he? They're pushing forward. They're turning this around though. Crystalline, the exhaust comes down. Is it going to be enough? Huma, they are orb walking their way to safety on this one. Wendelbo, the front line that they need. Oh my god, Nerv, so close to winning these fights, but at the end of the day, a 1-for-1 trade overall.
Such a great engage from Godbro, but look at Huma. They still think they can take this turret.
No fear on the Huma lineup. They want 2 inhibitors. They've got one in the mid lane. They're looking to pick up another. Memento moving forward, Wicked getting aggressive, but that Braum just blocking out all the damage, and Impaler, the mage build paying off because he is ripping through health bars. One more Tempered Fate, one more Ashe Hour. Impaler, flash out, can he make it? Yes! He's not going to get it, ultimate coming in as well. Oh, not quite enough damage. Huma dominate another exchange, extend their gold lead to 8K, and Wicked, the fight never stops in his eyes because he's hungry for more, but it's the 4v1. My god, Memento's coming in too, 2v4, but can they get it? Mega-Gnar's on the way, no hope for Nerv. They try one last desperate play, but with Memento not making it over the wall, the double kill going over in the favor of Huma, nothing seems to be working for Nerv.
One Baron play swings the game entirely in the favor of Huma, and ever since they got themselves that slight lead, this game has been in full control of this double AD carry composition. Such great execution coming out from Huma, and it's all due to NRV just not doing what they need to in these engagements. Godbro has been trying his best to get that ultimate onto multiple targets, but they just haven't been able to execute properly. We're not going to get the initial fight, but we are going to get the follow-up where Huma, in all right, shouldn't win this fight. But the coordination from NRV just is not there. They tried to set up the play with Memento going in first, but then he just gets focused down by all of Huma. They cannot get onto Crystalline, who at this point in the game is doing a huge amount of damage. They then try to go for a 2 versus 4, but again, look at Crystalline on the backline. He's not taking any damage. He's still not taking any damage. JWoww gets the ultimate back up. He's then free to knock Wicked into the wall, and then with the numbers advantage, it's very easy for Huma to then close out that fight. So Huma get themselves 2 inhibitors overall, and they're looking to take the third and looking to take the 2-0.
Very much set up. It's going to take some massive plays coming in on the side of Nerv to really bust this one out. Not only is there the AK gold lead, but the 2 inhibitors as well. Dragons, consolation prizes overall, not going to offer too much at this stage, but Varus more than happy to have the extra mana from the Ocean Drake. The siege here is going to be unrelenting. A single opening on the side of Nerv will end this in the favor of Huma. It's going to be an incredibly tough defense. Rek'Sai relegated to clearing out the bottom waves. Baron on the way as well, and I don't even know if Nerv can contest this.
All this poke coming out from Huma is going to be so difficult for Nerv to deal with.
Yep, Gnar, Nidalee, you can see We Will Fail her locked up. Braum moving forward. Just wants to see if he can get any cooldowns here. Rek'Sai moving the way up, but just the instant back off. JWoww will have the Mega-Gnar.
Thing is for Huma here is they don't actually have to go for any kind of dive. They just need to wait. There are minions pushing in both the mid and bot. The Baron's going to be spawning in about 20 seconds. They have plenty of poke to just sit underneath this turret and throw damage down until Nerv are forced to back away. And you can already see we will fail it down to about 60% of his HP. And Huma, they're going to be pushing onto this final tier 3 turret.
Moving in, Pillar is going to go down. We will fail. Caught out instantly. Tempered Fate's still going to hit 2. Is this the re-engage that they want? I don't think so. Impaler moving in. Great. All going to hit Wicked and Godbro, slowing down that damage. Everyone is alive and healthy. JWoww on the way to Meganar. The arrow's going to connect. Godbro next to fall as he's going to drop. And at the end of the day, Huma are going to pull out the 2-0 with a commanding Game 2.
Huma take it in what was a great execution, really, once they gotten themselves that lead. All they needed was Nerv to make the Baron play. But massive props to Impaler for getting that steal at the end there, because this game could have gone very differently if he had not.
I mean, really, that's what it came down to, right? And then the execution in the following fights afterwards was, I mean, incredible. I mean, both teams had such close team fights, but at the end of the day, Huma, not only were they able to steal that and then execute well in the fight following, they continued to make intelligent decisions and kind of, they wanted to fight, they wanted to force fights, but they never got over-aggressive. They never did it, they never overstepped once they had that lead.
Well, they did in the bottom lane, going for that tier 2, or going for that second inhibitor, saying, we want more. I'm like, Huma, you guys need to be careful here. You're getting a little bit too big for your boots right now. But as you rightly said, the execution was just phenomenal. The way in which they were focusing the right targets, the way in which they always shifted who was on the front line, so different people were taking different amounts of damage. And it was just a matter of just very well played once they had the lead. And for me, this is the power of the Ash Virus. This is where you have this very strong backline who can constantly provide DPS if you need it, but you also need that strong disengage potential as well with the Braum and with the Gnar. And overall, I think the composition was very strong. They made a couple misplays in the early game, but they were quickly able to turn it around come the mid lane.
Absolutely, and a compelling series to watch for sure. Very slow Game 1, but a very explosive Game 2, and with that, Huma manages to win the series, taking 3 points and leaving NRV with 0. Of course, Misfits and Team Forge are gearing up for our second set of the day, so we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Spells for Cage Roll. Early gank paying off dividends as they move in. Nerv grabbing that first blood. Moves in. Beautiful heal. Godbro will go down in the end, but JWoww's here as well. A bloodbath in the mid lane. Looking for the stun. Impaler is going to come over the wall. Can he get it? He is! Huma managed to take the Baron away.